So I'm going to start with an extract from one of the teachings in the connected discourses on the path, the connected discourses, the Samyutta, the Magga Samyutta. So this is just as the dawn precedes or is the forerunner of the rising of the sun, in the same way, spiritual friendship, good friendship, is a precursor, the forerunner of the Noble Eightfold Path. So this is showing the importance of spiritual friendship or a good spiritual guide. The kalyana mitta can be somebody who's ethical and wise. This is, and also a little bit ahead of us or quite a ways ahead of us on the path. So this is that specific person could be our teacher, our guide. There's a word called also a word that's saparisa. That's really a good person, an ethical person, and these are the people that we hope to associate with. So there's a Mangala Sutta. They talk about avoiding foolish people and association with the wise, not to associate with fools, but to associate with the wise. So we can be selective with who we associate with. And that sutta talks about, it's a sewana, which is not association, but it also means not serving. So not being in service to foolish people, but to serve, actually to serve wise people. That means our behavior may be modeling after the wise people rather than so in service, that kind of modeling may be the way you could understand the service. But still, if you're in an organization and you're serving people that are not wise, then your behavior will not be wise. And if you're associating with wise people, then that's going to help you with your behavior. So this is the importance of who, I mean, we may have people in our lives that are foolish, but we don't have to model ourselves after them. We don't, and we can be the wise and ethical person in a situation like family, workplace, places where, you know, ethics may be not seen as an important thing to keep well. So, so who we associate with or who we model ourselves with, and then also seeking out people who are ethical, who are wise, who are on the path. This is a great support for us. And this is wonderful that you have this community here. This is an example of that. And hearing the teachings, but also just really placing an importance on ethics as well as the practice, the meditation practice, the study. It's all mutually supportive for our progress on the path. There's another sutta that I chose to talk about, and this is in the numerical discourses, and it's in the sixes. So there's 6 elements, and this is how to be in a community as a community member. And they're called warm-hearted qualities. There's 6 warm-hearted qualities, and it's to that make for fondness, respect, and are conducive to harmony, unity, without quarreling. So these 6 qualities is through body, speech, and mind. These are the first 3. So this warm-hearted quality is to consistently treat your spiritual companions with bodily kindness. So bodily kindness, this could be just being helpful, helping one another, like with it, or even something simple like arranging the chairs or something like that here. But however, especially if your friends are in need, how can I help them? What can I do for them? And just always kind of be on a lookout as how can I act kindly? Certainly I just imagine none of you are going to get into fist fights or anything like that, but it's like refraining from anything that's harmful and then also doing what's helpful. So this came to my mind was a random acts of kindness, just holding the door for somebody or, offering them some water or something really simple, giving somebody, inviting them to go first or something like that. You can do that. And then there was something like random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. But I thought, how about mindful acts of beauty? What would that be? It would be like, what came to my mind was very funny is that, what if you cleaned the bathroom? Really, you did that was your job and you just did this spectacular cleaning of the toilet. You just put all your energy into whatever you're doing to be part of a community. Like I saw the card that was the announcement for this event today. So beautiful. This is a mindful act of beauty to do, maybe arranging some flowers, putting out announcements, whatever you're doing it mindfully, but with a lot of care and a sense of beauty too. So this is one way to be a real good spiritual friend and within a community, and to just caring for one another well. The next one is speech. Warm-hearted quality is the way it's, I'll repeat, verbal kindness. So constantly treating your spiritual companions with verbal kindness. So a lot of times speech is talked about it in the negative. Don't lie. Don't be divisive. So but also the qualities of speech that are truthful, timely, spoken with a heart of loving kindness, gentle. There's 5 here. Beneficial. I always forget one. So this is another teaching by the Buddha, these 5 qualities of speech. So in order to speak with kindness, but not only just the kindness part, but the truthfulness and timeliness is, if somebody's like really busy doing something and you have something on your mind and it's really important to you and you want to speak to them and they're trying to do something, that's a bad time. They're not going to hear it, or they might get annoyed, or it might throw them off from what they're doing. Or if they're really upset or tired or sick or something like that, and you have some issue you want to bring up with them, that's not a good time. And for monastics, it said, don't bring up an issue when the person is hasn't had their meal yet. So if they're too tired or hungry or not well or something, like, choose a time. I see. Okay. Use another battery. Okay. So is it on? Okay. So yeah, choose a good time. Either if it's like just important information, it's not anything like an issue or something, but it is important to talk about things. So if you have something you need to speak about that's a little sensitive, choose a good time and speak, if you can, gently, maybe gently and firmly, and with a heart of loving kindness, no matter what it is, no matter what you want to convey to the other person. And then ask yourself, is this really useful? Is this really beneficial? Is it just chit chat? So these are ways to be kind. They're kind speech. And then the third of this grouping is mental acts of kindness. So this is would be our metta bhavana. And all of this can come from loving kindness through body, speech, and mind. But if we're developing loving kindness to all beings, then that's going to be expressed through body and speech. But, and it's starting with ourselves. We're one of those beings in the world. So being kind to ourselves mentally, and thinking of everyone we're associated with kindness to start with, but also our cushion time when we're, it's nice to have a regular practice of loving kindness meditation. So that's, oh, now it's really magnified or amplified, I guess that's the word. So anyway, so those are the 5 courses of speech on the positive side, that to be truthful, timely, spoken with a heart of loving kindness, beneficial, and gentle. So these are 5 courses of speech, and then the mental kindness, and the next of the 6, and this is the 4th one, is this one is sharing. So it's generosity. So how it's written is one shares without reservation any material gains they have. So for a monastic, even what's they've received in their alms bowl, they share with their fellows in the monastic life. So a heart of generosity and acts of generosity towards one another is another warm-hearted quality that conducive to harmony, and they live according to precepts they have taken. So I don't know if you regularly take 5 precepts here. Yes, no? Some do. Yeah, so if you want to make any progress on the path, these are essential. And to the best, these are training rules. So what it means is it's something that you practice with, and you're going to fall off of them to some degree or to another. I know there was a conversation about the first precept, which is not killing any living being, but as much as we can to protect life and not harm any living beings, and not stealing, not lying. And I'll mention those courses of speech too. Is also kind speech, gentle speech, honest speech, non-divisive speech, and refraining from any kind of sexual misconduct, and refraining from intoxicants. So the best we can. I mean, some people only want to keep 5, but if we break the 5th, which is intoxicants, we may break the other ones easily. It's more likely, especially if we overdo it. So those are the basic 5. And so if you find people to support you in that, even if you might be struggling with one or the other, talk about it with your spiritual companions and find a way best you can to keep these precepts. And then the last one, the sixth one, is they live according to the view that is shared with their spiritual companions. And that is noble, liberating, and delivers one who practices with it to the end of suffering. So this is samadhi, right view. And that's understanding the cause of suffering and the ending of suffering, basically. So we look inside ourselves and how we're causing suffering for ourselves and others. And basically, it's craving that is causing the suffering. So, so this is six ways. I can just review them because I spoke off the basic list. But first three is a kindness, treating everyone in our community and everyone. I think it extends to all beings with kindness through body, speech, and mind. And then the last three is keeping ethical conduct in common with the other ones. That you find people that at least higher or at least the same level of conduct. And sharing, I got them out of order, but sharing or generosity. And the last one is right view, having at least working towards the understanding. Also, samadhi is called, also translated as right understanding or wise understanding, and there's a number of other ways it's translated, but it's the first factor of the path. And if we have that understanding, it's also understanding of how greed, hate, and delusion cause suffering in our lives. So, and working towards abandoning anything that, any kind of behavior through body, speech, and mind that's tainted with those unwholesome roots of greed, hate, and delusion. So that's another aspect of right view. So that's very briefly, in a nutshell, about that. So I also wanted to talk about another sutta that it's the Meghiya Sutta, and it's in the Udana, which is a collection of stories with verses. And the Buddha has a inspired utterance, which is a verse at the end. There's something happens, there's some encounter, and then the Buddha will have this utterance at the end. I don't have the poem at the end, but I have the background story, which is really lovely because it shows the Buddha's humanity. He was like this human being interacting with other people. And it's very endearing to me because he has this young student, a young monk, who's his attendant. I'm imagining he's young just because of his behavior. And so the Buddha is alone with this attendant named Meghiya. And Meghiya asked permission to go out on alms round alone to this village close by. And the Buddha gives him permission. So he goes for his alms round, receives his meal, has his meal, and on the way back, he sees this beautiful, delightful mango grove. He says, oh, this is so beautiful. I just want to come back here and meditate. I'm paraphrasing all this. It's not quite the same in the sutta. But so he's really inspired. He wants to meditate in this grove. This was a perfect place for striving, I was saying, in my meditation. So he goes back to the Buddha and he says, Lord, may I go back to this, I saw this beautiful mango grove on the way back from my alms round, and I just want to go there and meditate. And the Buddha says, well, we're alone here. Why don't you wait till another monk comes? It's not such a good time. And then Meghiya again says, oh, please allow me to go to this mango grove. It's so beautiful and delightful. And I could strive there in my meditation. And the Buddha says, they go back and forth 3 times like this. And the 3rd time, the Buddha says, well, if you're talking about striving, then what can I say? Oh, also the Meghiya is saying, you've done the tasks. He's already awakened. The Buddha's already awakened, but I haven't. So he has this sense of urgency and he wants to go back to the mango grove. So then the Buddha kind of reluctantly says, oh, if you're talking about striving, well, go ahead. So Meghiya goes to the mango grove, finds a nice shady tree, beautiful place by this river. It's wonderful. And he crosses his leg in meditation. And after a short time, thoughts of lust come up. Then later he goes, wow, thoughts of lust comes up. This is really, it says amazing or marvelous or something that way, but I think what he was really saying is, this is incredible. I went forth in monastic life and, for freedom from suffering. Here I have thoughts of lust, then thoughts of hatred come up, then thoughts of cruelty come up. And he's like, oh, this is amazing. How can this be happening? I'm paraphrasing here. So then he goes back to the Buddha and reports what happens after his days abiding. He's been struggling with these unwholesome mental states coming up. So how many of you have gone on retreat and you're just kind of like, whoa. Yes, whoa, what's going on with this mind? This is like the mind has a mind of its own. All this anger is coming up, all this whatever, wanting to plan my vacation in Tahiti or whatever it is, it's like, whoa. So, it says thoughts of lust, but it's any kind of desire, desire for a new car or whatever, And so I've been going to a retreat and here these crazy thoughts are coming up. So he goes back to the Buddha. And it's like, Lord, this is what happened. And at that point, I remember when I first read this sutta, I thought, it's really surprising that the Buddha wouldn't say something like, well, I told you so. I told you not to go to the mango grove. But he doesn't. He's very compassionate. And he says that one way it's translated is when the heart's release is not ripe. When you haven't developed the liberation of your heart or mind. There are these 5 things that are conducive to the liberation of heart. And the first thing is spiritual companions, good association, good companionship. And the second one is ethical conduct. If you keep your ethics well, this is supportive to the liberation of heart. So it goes back to what I was speaking about earlier. The third one is that one is energetic in abandoning unwholesome states and developing wholesome states. Oh, I missed one. Then actually the third one is talk on the Dhamma, participating in discussing the Dhamma. So this talk about, it says seclusion, fewness of needs. There's a number of things here. Talk on samadhi. You're going to have day long on samadhi, insight, awakening, and nibbana. So speaking about these kind of things with your fellows, and in our case, it would be monastic life, but your spiritual companions, your sangha, whatever you want to call your community, to have that opportunity to discuss the Dhamma. And the last one is developing wisdom that leads to the complete freedom from dukkha, the complete freedom from suffering. And then the Buddha says, if you have good companionship, it can be you can expect that you'll keep your ethics pure, that you'll have good ethical conduct. And if you have good spiritual companions, it can be expected that you'll have the opportunity to discuss the Dhamma together with others. And if you have good spiritual companions, it can be expected that you'll be energetic to abandon the unwholesome qualities and to develop the wholesome qualities. And it can be expected that you'll be able to develop the wisdom that leads to the complete ending of suffering. So that's the story of Meghiya. And then the Buddha further goes on to explain some 4 or 5 types of meditation to overcome the lust, and but I won't go into that right now. So, because I wanted to focus more on the spiritual friendship part of it. But I would also like to end with the Buddha was approached by Ananda once, and Ananda had said, he had this inspiration while he was meditating. It said that, oh, half of the holy life is spiritual friendship. That sounds like a lot, right? And maybe the other half is what we do, right? And the other, so he goes to the Buddha, and a lot of times there's monks make a statement to the Buddha, or a deva or somebody will make a statement, and see if the Buddha agrees with that, see if they're on course or not. And so Ananda says, Lord, half of the holy life is spiritual friendship. And then the Buddha says, no, Ananda, that's not right. The whole of the holy life, the entire holy life is spiritual friendship. So if you, and then he says that I'm that friend. Actually, the Buddha is that friend. And then if we have that friend, we can develop and fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path. So that's, I think, all I have to share for now. I think it's enough for now.